This is Trophy Gold, The Roots of Old Kalduhr, Part 3. We had kind of a shorter session last time, and so your characters are still all in the Orphan's Villa, and you've done most of the Orphan's Villa, actually. You had just gotten out of the administrative area and indeed had found the administrative funds, and I believe you divided those up already, and that's the set goal complete. But you can keep searching the Orphan's Villa. You don't have to be done with the Orphan's Villa just because you've met the set goal. There is one more large portion you have not been to yet, actually kind of two. One is the barracks where the children would have slept. And then the other is the root cellar in the kitchen, which you got a glimpse of, but did not, but used timey-wimey magic to step away from. And so there is something there as well. Otherwise, if you feel satisfied with the Orphan's Villa, you can certainly leave and go back out to the streets and see what else is on this level. So I will turn the scene over to the four of you inside the administrative or inside the office and the headmaster's office with the body of a warden splayed out in front of you. You've run into many of the wardens if we believe that there's a one-for-one connection with the animals in the fountain outside. There might be more places to search in the courtyard, to be honest. You kind of went in pretty quickly. But in any case, role play. And don't forget your conditions. Some of you have weird conditions right now. So. And I'll remind you that before you can go back to the surface, you must meet your burdens. So in treasure.
I'm looking at all these bells that we're holding and thinking about how many times they've been rung. And at some point,
6.
Yeah, at some point it's going to get ugly. There were how many at the fountain? How many beasts?
7. There were 7 beasts.
Yeah.
And we've killed 4?
Right. But a couple of your 6 rings were from the same beast, though. I won't say whether that has any relevance or not, but the important thing to know is that the bells have been rung 6 times. Once by you. So
I think the important thing to know is Jason knows precisely what that number is. And so that would be what the dice rolls in the orphanage.
That's probably the important bit, right?
Yeah.
The important bit is I know immediately offhand how many you've rung.
I'm gonna hold up fingers. Everybody watch Jason's face.
Gleneth is bleeding from the hand and was just digging out of a trap and is not interested in touching anything else in this office.
I think Asta will kind of hobble over to Gleneth and maybe rip off a bit of his sleeve and start trying to bandage that wound.
Thank you, friend.
Very protective.
Thank you.
Mazur
The gauntlets did well.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Mazur.
Oh, that was the end of mine.
Okay. Mazur looks over to Osto and says, "For once in your life, you look as bad as me."
Well, try to keep things egalitarian here. You're new.
And then looks over at Korkuluk and tries to figure out what's going on with him.
Oh, I don't know. I've seen enough of you humans to know that it's hard to read a porcelain mask for you all, but I feel like these porcelain masks that we're encountering are malevolent. I don't think they have our best intentions in mind.
The word malevolent makes Mazur's eyebrow raise instinctively.
Maybe we should move on before we find out what's in the pit.
I think if Korkuluk doesn't trust these things, we extra shouldn't.
Korkuluk, would you say that we are good children or... Sorry. Korkuluk, would you say that we are good children or bad children at this point?
Ooh.
We are robbing an orphanage or school.
But where are the orphans? That's the peculiar thing. For us in our role here, were there children who were harmed here and they're no longer present, or they're spirits?
I will point out that a couple of you heard the orphans somewhere deep below the earth. You heard laughing and crying, and it could have been phantoms, or just like, I would say it was like a hallucination, but multiple people heard it. It wasn't like it was a hallucination of one, if it was.
I hold up that little blue jar of orphan grapes and I said, is grapes a euphemism? Does anybody know?
Eyeballs. Hopefully eyeballs.
In truth, this place has been abandoned for, centuries. I don't want to find out what could still be alive in the pit.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Oh, but I can
Perhaps.
tell Mike wants to know. Whether Mazer wants to know or not, I don't know, but
Yeah, I think Mazer there's still like the body of the one that we had in this room, right? Just kind of like,
there is.
I think Mazer is like very because he's sort of like very like interested in like ritual and the connection of like texts and that type of thing and the real world. I think like he's like positioning and I know or feel that this is not going to do anything. It's just something that Mazer's doing. Is like going over and is like getting the warden to like sit like in a sitting position, probably like cross-legged on the floor type of thing, and it's just like, maybe there's some connection. Maybe we can make these the bad children, and create a little bit of a diversion.
Lenneth giggles inappropriately. Why on earth would you think that? How are they not? They could be punishing the bad children. We don't know. They're not going to recognize.
Well, this is an interesting point to remind everybody that Corkla, via Devil's Bargains, the wardens will think you're a warden.
Glenneth is still high on Fae honey.
Maybe these were the good children. Maybe we don't want to meet the bad children.
Table talk. What did good children do?
Sit.
According to the sign?
Good get to sit. Get to sit.
Okay. Bad children pit. That's
Get
right.
the pit.
Good children sit. Bad children pit. Got it.
Well, and that was in the dining hall. So I
Nod.
think the implication is that like the good children get to sit and eat dinner while the bad children.
In the dining hall.
Right.
Perfect. Thanks for that prompt, Jason.
Yeah.
Mazu remembers all of this. And says like, ooh, remembering that I'm also euphoric. I don't think sitting in this room is the right maneuver, and starts dragging the body of the warden into the dining room.
Meanwhile, while Mazer is doing that, presumably a noisy activity, Osto, you probably have the best hearing of everybody here, maybe Glenneth, but you will hear something stirring in the barracks. Something taking footfalls.
And we are in the barracks too, right?
No, you're in the office, which is like on the
that's right.
side. You have to cut through the dining hall to get to the barracks. Mazer is currently in the dining hall. The rest of you are just wherever between the office and the dining hall. But in the barracks, you hear someone clearly aroused by the noise.
We don't know the Korkaluk has this effect with
We do
the
not know that
mask
yet. No.
Osto's going to consider for a minute just telling everyone to stay down and see what happens to Mazer. But he can't do it. He's too protective. So he's going to just sigh and start limping in that direction to try and guard the door.
Korkaluk, what are you doing?
Ben, a quick question. You said limping? I can't remember. Are you injured from a thing?
He has burned his leg from a
Oh.
trap.
Okay, thank you. Forgot that part. Have I heard this noise?
No. Well, maybe once if Osto brings it to your attention, then yes.
If I remember the layout correctly, the dining hall is essentially the entry hall, right? Like the door out is there.
Yes. There's essentially 4 doors, like kitchen 1, office behind you is the way out, and then ahead is the barracks.
I'm gonna look out the front door and make sure we've got a clean path of retreat if we need it.
You do. Gleneth, what do you do?
Gleneth is going to just sit down on the floor cross-legged across from I think it was like a curio cabinet or something that had the box cube object of infinite weight, and just stare and maybe make an investigation to see if there's more, half lava lamp, half magical curiosity.
There's nothing else to be gained from it. To know it's a very incredibly unusually heavy, like much heavier than it looks, black cube with notches, empty notches on each side, one on each side.
Would I be able to use my unravel ritual to disassemble it for parts, essentially? Could I pull apart its magic or
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I like that actually. You can take the time to do that. You can be doing that. I don't need to die roll. Mazer, what are you hoping to accomplish by setting up the dead warden in a chair?
Some sort of trickery. I think Mazer is still like trying to figure out exactly what that is. As a player, I think I'm waiting for an opportunity and just keeping the body close to me for that purpose. But I don't necessarily know what the aim. I think Mazer in character is like dealing with this like weird combination of like melancholy and euphoria, and is also like pretty wounded, but also very curious and obsessed with everything that's going on. So I think is within the zone, but I don't think it's very like logical what he's doing. So
fair enough. No, that's good.
Yeah.
Osto, the warden, presumably on the other side in the barracks, steps close to the door and just becomes incredibly silent. Remember how the one in the wardrobe was incredibly still and silent? This one is. There's nothing but just door between you and it, and it's just standing there. What do you do?
Oh boy. Osto is going to, so presumably I know it's there. Like I heard
you hear it
stop at the door.
You hear it all the way up to the point where it just stops at the door. Yeah.
Osto's going to kind of take in a breath, raise his hammer, and he's going to intend on just smashing it through the door.
That is a risk roll for sure. What could go wrong, group? I'll start. It rings its bell.
So we know that
Any
that's
thoughts
a
beyond
bad
that?
thing now.
Yeah, because now we know it's a bad thing. Well, you're limping, your balance could be a little bit off, and you just actually wiffle balls, like just miss entirely and lose your balance and fling yourself away. Like the hammer gets away from you.
Hammer sticks in the door.
I don't know what the floor is made of, but maybe you hit so hard that you create a hole in the floor. It goes down to the quote unquote pit.
Well, let's talk about dice. I think strength is in your favor here, Osto. So you can and you're using your weapon as well. So you have your one light die. Let's talk about devil's bargains. This is where it gets really interesting. No matter what, it rings its bell. The group better come up with better options than that.
No matter what, Korkaluk is drawn into this encounter, whether that's good or bad for us, we'll see.
Oh, so like there might be that recognition or something, and that's interesting. Yeah.
I see. Maybe the hammer stuck in the door is a devil's bargain. I'm trying to think of something that ties into the orphanage and your brother in prison, but I don't have anything that is succinct. So
It's so distant temporally, it's kind of hard to make those connections. Yeah. At least it's early in the game.
Something prevents us from leaving without going deeper in.
Oh, that's good. Like, so, no matter what, something blocks off your exit.
Yeah, Mike and Jason are working against the party today.
It's my job.
all right. I've got a maybe devil's bargain. That there's like a Kaldurian Child Protective Services that ran the orphanage you were in, and there's like an historian from the Kaldurian Child Protective Services who arrives just now to check out the rumors about the old orphanage, and they recognize you.
Wow.
That would be something to happen right now.
Yep. I'm not
People
willing
watching
to
the
gamble.
TV show would be like, what?
I'm kind of unwilling to gamble on whether it's number of rings or number of wardens ringing. So I'm gonna. I think I'll go with something prevents us from leaving the way we came in without going deeper. That seems just twisted enough.
It is indeed. I think what it is when you slam the door, the shockwave, the structure's not as strong as it looks, and it collapses the entrance into the exit towards the courtyard. So yeah. But you've got 2 light dice. Just 2 light for now. I don't think it's inherently dangerous yet, since you have the element of surprise on this thing.
All right.
4. The complication, I'll just have the complication. I'll just roll that into the devil's bargain of like, you can't get out now. So if you want to just go ahead and describe destroying the thing, you can.
There's a moment where he just stops and listens to see if the thing is going to react at all before just quickly bringing his hammer through the door, smacking it in the chest. There's a nice wet crunch, and Osto turns to look back at Mazur as we hear something rumble the way we'd come.
Yeah, I think the whole, like, basically just one whole portion of the dining hall just collapses. No one's hurt, but you are blocked from that south doorway, which goes out to the courtyard. But you did kill the warden. Go ahead and roll 8 gold. Or no, what are they? Yeah, check their endurance.
Like
7 gold. 7 gold. Yeah, sorry. Or gold 7.
Nada.
You smashed it too good. There's nothing of value there. I don't think it even had a bell in this case. It just has a knocker, no bell. And the porcelain helmet is shattered. Yeah, but it does appear to be the rooster, for what it's worth. So
Sorry, it appears to be a what?
It's the rooster of the animals.
Rooster. Okay, thank you.
Which means you've seen all of them except for
The pig. If my
the
list
pig
is
is
right.
the pig's in the root cellar. And you haven't
And 7.
you know what the 7th animal is, yeah. You haven't seen another animal. So what are we all doing?
Well, a quick reminder: was the pit like a hole in the dining room floor? I don't remember quite where that was.
The pit has never been identified. We don't know what the pit is. It's just been referred to by someone in recent times who wrote on the wall, because it was written in your common present day tongue.
All right, and we heard the noises through the floorboards.
Yeah, Glenneth was down below and heard, but not like immediately below. I described it as like quite deep below. Like I don't think like a human could have heard it.
All right, through the air vents. Well, it seems like Osto, you've opened the door to the barracks once more. Maybe we poke around there, see if we can find a little more loot.
Just to watch out for traps.
Inside the barracks, it is rows of simple wooden bed frames. The mattresses are long decayed away. There are small footlockers, wooden footlockers at the end of each bed. There's also a barred window that goes to the outside. Mazar, what do you do?
So I think in between getting frustrated dragging this body and then the commotion of the door being broken and that type of thing, I just drop the body and give up on that. But I think I want to take this one still has the mask, right? Or did we?
Yeah, it's a bowl. Yeah.
I think I kind of like muttered to myself, like, oh, I don't know why I didn't think of this. And I take the mask, and I want to put the mask on. Maybe I smell it to make sure there's nothing like weird about it first, but
Well, it had a decaying head in it, but you can toss that out and
yeah, I mean, I got rags, right? That's
Yeah.
fair. That shouldn't be like
wipe it down a
so
bit.
I kind of like wipe it down a little bit and put it on. Because I think like I'm also like picking up on like Korkaluk and like just sort of like yeah, like I think it's just like just body signals like that type
Make
of
a
thing
2-die
that I've
hunt
been
roll.
picking up. All right. Go.
3 to 2, you encounter something terrible. When you put the mask on, you can hear in your head the children loudly, resonating wildly off the porcelain, laughing, crying, fighting, singing songs, crying for their mothers. And you hate it. You hate it. You hate these kids. What can you do to get these
Sounds like
kids
they're
to shut
all
up?
bad children, right?
Yes. All children are bad. Exactly. But importantly, the
Mhm.
kids are still somewhere. This is not an echo of the past. This is a direct line to the present.
I very immediately like rip off the mask and like throw it against the wall. Yeah, these children are horrifying. Is that like, is this a condition? Like, is that like going to like stick with me in any way? Okay.
No, no, if you take the mask off, you're fine. If you had kept it on for a
Right.
while, maybe, but I think it's okay.
Sure.
Gleneth, what are you
And
doing?
Did anything come of my unraveling?
Yes, you can break it up into. So here's the thing. This is a metal which does not exist in the surface world. You, even with your Fey experience of the natural world, have had no experience with this metal. It is magical in nature. It is scientific in nature. And unraveling it merely means there's no physical component to it. All you do when you unravel it is it breaks apart, but you now have, and you can put it in found equipment, one use of the idea of incredible mass, making something have incredible mass. You can even put it on your marbles if you want.
Marvelous.
You can put it on your marbles if you
Yes,
wish.
I will.
Yeah.
I just I collect magic like baubles. This is what my character does. So having done that, you will hear completely removed from the group something along the lines of "Ooh!" And Gleneth will come running into the dining room, slowly, like I stood up too quick, and then
There's
the room
dust and
spins a
rubble
little.
everywhere. Yeah.
Mhm. And then kind of calming down, I might be coming to my senses a little bit and very excited about this. And then I see the fallen, we calling them wardens, right?
They're wardens, what we're calling them. Yeah. You actually get to name them and add them to the bestiary if you wish. I don't know if you'll ever encounter these again in the world, but you never know. Corkle,
Orphan haters.
Yeah. Hates kids. Can you tell I wrote this one? Corkulek, what are you doing right now?
Use my little porcelain fingers to poke at some of these footlockers, seeing as how the orphanage caretaker had a needle trap. Who knows what the children did with their
An
footlockers?
exploding sigil trap on his footlocker.
True.
You can certainly do a hunt roll.
Just a skill in what? Obfuscation, hope?
Sure, because you're trying to find traps, right? Yeah, that works.
All right. 3.
Encounter something terrible. One of the footlockers has a yellowish residue between the gap of the lid and the base, meaning there's something inside of it making yellowish spore-like residue.
What do my bees think about that?
Oh, what an interesting question, actually. They will recognize it as poisonous. Though to you, it's not. It is to them, though, but you would not be affected by it because you're
I see what you're saying.
a construct.
I'm kind of fond of these bees. I don't know that I want to murderize them by opening it. Did we talk about how many of these lockers there are, or is it just sort of
I think there's probably like
search
two dozen beds, and each
Oh,
has a
goodness.
footlocker. Yeah, none of them are locked,
All right.
by the way. They can all be opened.
All right, so I found the gross one.
Well, maybe there might be more, but you know there's at least one.
Yeah. I will alert the others and say, folks, of the lockers, this one has a resinogenous nature about it that may not be the best for biological organisms like you. So maybe we leave it shut for now, unless somebody has a way to open it from a distance.
What are you hoping to find in there?
Stuff I can sell. Like they're orphans, but are they destitute? They surely have something useful. These are old Kaldurian orphans. Like imagine a little wind-up toy made out of wood, but old Kaldurian wood. That would fetch a pretty penny at the antiquarian market.
Ye old antiques market. Ye old antique dealer. Osto, what are you doing right now?
So you mentioned the barred windows. I think Osto's going to try and pop one open so that they have an escape route if need be.
I think you can do that, no problem. I will tell you that when you go to one of the windows, which is just fully exposed to the sky, there's no glass, it's just the bars. As you might imagine, in the underground city, the elements weren't as big a problem, right? So as you go to pull the bars off, something flicks its tongue. It's whatever it is, it's above the window on the outside, and you see a tongue just go down and up.
Forked?
Long.
He's going to take a step back and just look over at Korkaluk and say, what about opening that thing outside?
Opening the wooden crate outside the footlocker?
Yeah, the one with the poison.
Huh. I suppose we could drag it with us. You're thinking like hang it out the window and pop it open there?
Yeah, I'm thinking there's something out there taking a good sniff of us right now. And maybe we can give it something good to smell.
Sure, we can give that a shot.
An intriguing idea.
What's this?
Mazar,
Hound
what
of
are you
Mount-
doing in the meantime?
I think I'm just leaving the dining room. I'm probably like, even though I've thrown this mask against the wall, like I'm like just picking it up and keeping it handy as I walk into the next room and see them fumbling with or about to fumble with the footlocker.
Well, this is an interesting plan, Osto. Do you wish to do it?
I think yeah, Asta will pop open the window. Korkaluk probably make most sense doing the actual opening since he won't get poisoned.
Yeah, I got my little mining pick.
So the
Right
idea
open.
here is to get whatever that is whose tongue is flicking around to lap up some of the poisonous spores and try to make it sick or kill it, right? Is that the idea?
Yep.
Okay, I like it. Korgaluk, do you mind doing the roll? Especially since you're
can
not
do it.
affected by the spores.
Is this a risk roll or
It's a
something
risk
else?
roll. Yeah, it's a risk roll.
All right. Does skill in obfuscating my intent count?
We'll get to that in a moment. Ben,
sorry.
Sarah, and Mike, any thoughts on what could go wrong here?
Korkaluk opens the window and puts the crate outside of it, but when attacked, his arm is now caught up in the potential jaws of this thing.
It's pretty good. Yeah, I like that. I was going to say that the worst thing that can happen is it just doesn't work, and then the creature like is clearly stalking the window now. Your only way of getting out of here. So, yeah.
I mean, if we're saying what's the worst that could happen, like you go out the window with the footlocker.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah, like you just get wrenched out of the window.
we don't know that the poison in the trunk won't do anything because it's actually Hound of Nagana poison.
Yeah, it's like they love it. They're it just stays there feeding for a minute. Okay, good. Okay, let's talk about dice. Obfuscation feels like a bit of a stretch because I think it knows you're there. But maybe, I mean, just the chest
Mimicry,
itself.
kind of
The chest
baiting
itself.
a trap, like when you're fishing.
No. The chest itself is the die. That's where the light die comes from.
Okay.
So let's talk about Devil's Bargains. I'm gonna say no matter what, now come back to me.
No matter what, you lose half your hive. Your bees aren't necessarily protected from this poison, or they get somehow interfered with by the lizard.
I have the condition of the eyes, and it's gained from being observed, but does that help anybody with tying into the Hound of Nagana? Or
I do like that, actually. Yeah, I'm gonna say no matter what. Yeah, because of that condition, you are given special attention by the environment of layer 1. That's very wide open to my interpretation, I understand, but nevertheless.
Licked by a giant Hound of Nagana like a puppy dog.
Any other
What
bargains?
if instead of killing the bees will react poorly to the poison, and the bees are going to work against us for the rest of the set? They're
already,
just going to be...
yeah, they're already, which would make sense because they're already starting to have their own like kind of independence in this place, which is interesting.
It's kind of a double down on this because it's an existing Devil's Bargain in some ways, but like another one of those little baby ones like slips onto your person. So you've just got, like a baby lizard crawling around inside you.
Oh, like the one we saw at the carriage hall, alleyway.
Yeah.
Huh.
Who summoned that originally? Was that Mazer who summoned that originally?
Yes, or
Yeah,
like
okay.
made it work for us at least.
Yeah. Let's go with, I don't know, kind of the Jason's notion of the place seems to know me, where we kind of level 1, whatever. Sort of fits with the warden's already thinking I'm a warden too.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think it's a risk 2 for now. Again, because of the element of surprise, I'm not going to make it initially necessarily dangerous for you.
That's a 4.
The complication is it just makes the creature sick. It does not kill it. If you want to try to kill it, you can add a dark die and roll again.
Let's add a dark die and roll again.
Go for it. So risk 2-1. Same result, 5. You can keep going though. I mean, if you want to add another dark die.
Adding 2 dark dice, huh? Armor does not work in a risk roll, correct?
It does not. No.
Let's try it. 2 light, 2 dark. Nope, 5 is as good as I get. I'm gonna stop there.
Okay. Dark is still low, so you can keep going. You can also take help as well if somebody wants to help. I mean, also you can kind of make the case for help just because it was your idea.
Oh, sure.
If your help die comes up 3 or 2, you take a ruin.
Let's do it.
Hey, there you go. That's the way to do it. So 6 light, the creature dies. You can both together come up with a scene and tell us what it looks like.
I think, Brian, if you're okay with this, maybe Osto's going to grab Korkaluk by the waist and kind of hold him out the window and just say, you see anything, I'll yank you back in.
wiggle me around a little bit so I'm a more enticing bait.
I will tell you that hanging right above the window is a massive white multi-legged lizard creature, and it is the big version of the little one that led you here. And yeah, so you can keep with that in mind, you can keep going.
Yeah, I like that idea. My joints don't quite move like your normal human joints, so I might be like holding the crate out, or the chest, what do I call it, footlocker out to crack it open, but also just like orbiting my neck around to look up to see this giant white lizard. I'll do a bit of I'll do my best old Kaldurian, here kitty kitty, and crack it open and hold it up with kind of an offering, saying, brought you some delicious essence from the new world above, and I think that you would love to sample it.
The spores engulf the thing's head, and it begins like rasping.
Pull me back in.
And you all just see its body slump down to the ground from the outside.
Yank Korkluk in, and then just watch as this, and just kind of look a little pleased with himself as he pats Korkluk on the back and say, "Well done."
Yeah, that was it was a bigger beast than I anticipated. I just saw the tip of the tongue, didn't think what was going to be up there. I'm going to poke into the bottom of this footlocker. Is there anything beyond or causing these spores? Whatever. I don't know.
No, there's nothing that you can see that's causing the spores, but I will tell you that you'll have to wipe it off a bit, but there is a little like wooden doll that has a set of like hedge clippers for a arm and a hand.
Can it be pulled out and cleaned of the toxic spores?
Yeah, you can definitely clean it off and add it to your gear if you wish, your found equipment. It has no intrinsic value. It's just a little wooden doll about the size of a, like a large teddy bear or something, right? Or like a medium-sized teddy bear with an arm that has a hedge clippers. Rusted hedge clippers on it.
Perhaps this is irrelevant, but are the clippers made of wood or are they like metal attachments?
They're metal, yeah.
Okay.
Rusted, but yeah. Meanwhile, what is everyone else doing? Gleneth?
Running up to the window, probably not putting my whole head outside because that looked like it was still sporified, but I want to take a look at this lizard creature, just fascinated.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and roll a gold 10. Not bad at all. 3 gold, which is a very good result. You can definitely start cutting this creature up and taking its valuable parts if you wish.
Scales, tongue, eyeballs.
Yeah, I mean, that works for me. You all have to name this thing at some point. I mean, we've been calling it in the module. It's called a Hound of Nagane. But you can keep calling it that, or you can give it a new name. But whoever's taking whatever body parts, yeah, it's each part is worth 1 gold. So yeah.
Asta will pry up a shiny scale, just kind of slip into his backpack.
You can take just 1 scale. It's not worth anything, just 1. But if you take the whole skin, it's worth 1 gold.
Oh,
yeah. If you skin it.
Glennis already in there with pins and trying to get it all like rolled up in a way that is easy to transport. This is easy work for her.
This will take a while. Mazer, are you involved in the field stripping of this lizard creature?
Yeah, I think so. I think that there's, I don't know, there's probably with lizard houndy beasts like this, there's probably some bone that's kind of like used in demonology, like that type of thing is sort of like a very common thing. So I kind of know how to get to it in a fairly efficient way.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, it's good. You can name the bone and
Yeah.
it's worth 1 gold. Yeah.
Um,
Maybe the bone
maybe
even
these things
has like,
actually have.
I was saying maybe the bone even has like a rune on it. You know, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, like tie that in. I was thinking like it's almost like a bone that like protects the heart within the skeleton, so like an extra rib cage in a way. But maybe like that like bone is kind of in the shape. It looks like some kind of like traditional demonic rune, and which way that relationship is like, is that go back to early hunters who would find this rune and like it became a symbol for it, or is it actually like that is up to debate. And maybe Mazer even is as he's digging this out is like narrating all of this to Gleneth and talking about like the complicated history of the, what should we call it, like we'll just call it the Nagane cage. And yeah.
The Nagane heart cage.
Mhm.
I love it. Korkuluk, are you involved in the field stripping of this creature?
I think I want to poke around at the rest of these footlockers the
Footlockers.
orphans have left behind. Feels like
Yeah, make a hunt
overlooked
roll.
potential.
Yeah, make a hunt roll. You can do 2 dice if you're keeping an eye out for traps.
Alrighty. Oh wait, that's risk. Hunt. 6.
Take a token, but no, unless you spend the token, they're empty. So. Asta, what about you?
I think Osto's going to. What about ripping out the dragon's like venom sac?
That's worth 1 gold. So we've got the skin, the venom sac, and the heart cage. Those are the 3 treasures. And the 3 of you who are out there with the lizard, you're out of the orphan's villa. Korkuluk, you can join them shortly thereafter if you wish. And you'll be back out on the streets, unless there's something else you want to do in the orphan's villa.
I'm happy to depart before 7 bells are rung.
Indeed. Only saw 6 wardens.
I mean, dang.
Don't you want to know what the 7th animal is?
Mazer's very interested in this, but I think like telling the story of like, yeah, the Nazane cage, like sort of like distracts him from it. Like he gets like caught up in his own. Yeah.
Indeed. The effects of the Fey honey will begin to wear off too, so you can clear any conditions related to that if you wish. And back out in the streets. The streets connective set. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's go ahead and take a 5-minute break and we'll do that. We'll get back. I'll remind you all that in the streets set, you always have the goal of traveling between locations. So you can just do that and we'll play it out and see how it goes. Or you can spend 3 tokens as a group and automatically travel to a new location. That's the safest thing to do. Or you can do the climb set. You can either climb down lower to the next layer, or you can climb back out to the surface if you have met your burdens. So that's what you can do. So what do we think?
And is there a way to, do you just tell us essentially if we've exhausted what there is to do on a given level?
I will eventually. Yeah, it's you won't. There's so much to do. But I guess maybe theoretically you could, but you've got way more to do on layer 1 if that's what you're asking. So this is even close to all of it. Yeah.
And by traveling to the surface, we would be able to have that like healing moment and have our hearth fire.
You get to do hearth fire. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. Because I know much of our party is been brutalized by that orphanage experience.
You can spend 3 tokens and get a free trip up to camp if you wish, or you can make the climb. So
I spend tokens, I won't meet my burden. Right now I do meet my burden just barely.
and you can always spend the tokens to find treasures too. So
You got 3 gold and 2 gold things in your found equipment. You should be good for burden.
Oh, I'm including, I put those in to kind of do the math.
Oh.
So assuming I'm going to sell them, I usually write them down in the equipment because once in a while they show up as role-playing stuff that's worth burning up the gold to do the cool thing. So
technically, you
that's
should
why I
track
wrote them
them
down
separately.
separately.
Your cash should be in the top block, and then your found equipment should be in the found equipment with a note of how much they're worth.
Okay,
That's how you're supposed to notate it.
got it.
The gold block is just like, this is the jewels and coins I've found, and we don't care to go into like detail of what types. So we make this generic
Okay.
tracker.
Yeah, it's just a 1G after the item description and my found equipment.
Yeah, that's how we normally do it.
I'm good for my burdens. I could certainly share. I can spend hunt tokens. I feel like maybe not navigating the streets at this moment behooves us, but what does the group think?
Are we really that beaten up after your Fey honey?
Well, I still have 1 jar of Fey honey left. Maybe I thought Mazur was okay, 4 and 4, but still, I guess not.
We could take the climb up and maybe we'll find some goodies on the way.
I'm
If-
absolutely fine with that.
Worth pointing out, you got to spend your tokens before you go back up. So
Oh, even if we do like it as a set?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like the tokens, like your hunt roll tokens get spent before you leave the incursion, one way or the other.
Right.
So, yeah.
I got you. Yeah.
So if you want to spend them to go up fast, you can. If you want to spend them to find treasure, you should. But yeah.
Well, Gleneth is happy to climb. She's just thinking of her fellow team. So
Let me crunch some math numbers here for a minute. We go back to base camp. We heal a ruin if you have a homestead or a house, right?
Yeah. Which we'll say is kind of, we'll reskin it for this camp. But yeah.
And right now I'm not injured at all, and so for me, I don't need to go back. Those who need to go back, is it worth it to go back for that 1 point of ruin? It looks like you will heal.
That's the thing. Like 4 ruin is actually not that bad. 5 is the bad, right? Yeah. There's a big difference between 4 and 5 in this game, as far as ruin
Right.
goes.
And if you're toting along some armor, if your armor is not ripped off, which I think you all have intact armor.
I am limping though.
All right.
But yeah, I think I was kind of thinking on a similar basis is like if we're just like resetting, and I guess that's not true. Osto is 2 up, but like if we're resetting 1 point, like it's very easy to just get that 1 point coming back down essentially. So
also, if you go
we're
up too
here.
early, you don't have anything to stash in your hoard, maybe, in which case it will all have been worth nothing. Like it's just like, I mean, it was fun and it was a great story, but like in terms of like your character's progress, nothing will have happened.
Well, the real incursion is the friends we made along the way.
This is a fair point. Yeah. It's the invisible entities watching us in the shadows along the way, right?
Okay, yeah, I'm good for continuing then
Right.
before heading out.
into the streets.
This is a clarification on the rules to some extent, but we have enough hunt tokens accumulated between us that we can force the issue of success at some point, right?
Yeah. You can always spend
Yeah, the
3
only
to
thing is-
satisfy the goal. Yeah.
Yeah, if I used my hunt tokens towards that, I do not meet my burdens right now. I'm just even if I turn those into cash. But if things are bad, yeah, burn them and then find more money.
Cool.
Even without your hunt tokens right now, we're sitting on 4. So if you want to turn yours into cash now and then your burdens are done when we go to the next set, then at least you don't have to worry. Now, having said that, we're going to roll a bunch of 1s on hunts and lose all of them. But
Yeah, but then if I burned up, yeah, it's a good point. I'm setting it too. Maybe I ought to burn them as we head to the next set. Let me find. Should I hold on to any? Do any of you want to burn some of yours? Otherwise, I'll burn both of mine.
I'll hold my 1 for now.
And I've just got the 1, so I kind of want to hold it until I get 2.
Are you talking about burning it to successfully navigate the streets and go straight to the next set?
Sorry, no.
Or are
Convert those
you
hunt
treasure
tokens to
hunting?
gold. I'm gonna,
I see.
as we exit the orphanage and go into the streets, convert those to gold so that I don't lose them on future stuff. Blah 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 blah.
You can certainly
Sure.
do that. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna convert my 2 then.
You will find in a kind of like in a sort of withered hedge just outside of the orphanage, you will find 2 things: an amethyst bull figurine and an amber rooster figurine. Each is worth 1 gold. Amethyst bull, amber rooster.
I'd also like to exchange my 2 hunt tokens, but it was unclear to me, am I doing that in this set in the orphanage or in the streets, or does it matter?
Do it wherever you want. Doesn't matter. It's up
Right
to you.
now, it's happening.
You can certainly cash them in like near the orphanage, or you can wait till you're in the streets a bit, see what you find. So
I would like to be searching more in the streets because I
Okay.
do not want to do any kind of searching near the orphanage. That did not go well.
let's go to the streets. So the set goal is to navigate to the next location, which you can do automatically with 3 tokens, or we can play it out. Playing it out, this is what it looks like. You eventually, to some degree, your path is shaped by where things are still standing and where space is still open, right? Because great big parts of the city have crumbled and collapsed over time. You just saw a great big portion of the Orphan's Villa collapse after just smashing the wall, with one good hard swing. And eventually you end up on a kind of precipice. And the precipice leads to an overpass to another part of the city. The overpass itself is actually made of a series of thick metal cables, and there's a cart attached to the cables, and there's a crank that you use to maneuver the cart back and forth over the overpass. Looking down below, it's just inky, shadowy blackness. And someone has to man the mechanism. And it seems you can probably fit 3 people at a time in the cart. And you don't know what's on the other side of the overpass. But this is where you're at. What do you do?
Is there also chicken and a sack of
There's
grain?
not a fox and a chicken in the farm. You do have a rooster figurine, however. So anyway, that's where you're at.
Well, I mean, if all 3 of you, if 2 of you and Osto can fit in there, I'll just climb across.
Oh, monkey hens.
Well, that's not their beautiful squid gauntlets, but yes, monkey hands cork luck.
So you would stay and
I-
like crank them over, and then you would climb across the cables.
Operate the
Yeah.
mechanism and then do like a hand over hand
Yeah.
monkey bars, perhaps.
You know, we're totally going to get ambushed. Do we want to do a 2 and 2? Like 2 people across, 2 waiting and cranking. It's
The
for
crank
safety in
will
numbers.
be easier to crank with 2 people or someone who is stronger.
Asta will handle the cranking. And then, is there a crank at either end?
You don't know that yet.
That was my next question. Yep.
I mean, the only way that I see to get all of us across is for me to try to operate the crank with you 3 in the cart. Because Osto, if you stay here and operate the crank, I don't know how I can get you over.
I could borrow the gauntlets.
No, Gleneth does this and thinks about that for a second, whether she's willing to take them off.
Assuming there's a crank at the other end, the 2 for 2 gives us the strategic sort of safety in numbers business. And if we crank across and there's no crank at the other end, we can still send people back and forth individually and do the squid glove method to reunite. But then all 4 of us are trapped on the other side. You know what I mean? Like, I'm assuming there's the crank on the other side, because otherwise, like, this is a one-way path.
You have that wooden doll. It was clearly, it must have been some kind of automaton. Could you, like, you used to do clipping hedges, probably, maybe.
I don't know. It's sort of child-sized, but maybe it can do work. Do you think you can magically imbue it in some way?
Or it's just a weird doll and that'll do nothing. Dolly scissor hands.
Yeah, I'm imagining the what could go wrong prompts, and they're not great.
Scissor hands cuts the rope as we're halfway across.
So
Gleneth is going to climb up the cable and across to see what she can see, either into the inky blackness or onto the other side of the overpass.
I like that. Make a hunt roll with 2 dice, with the gloves being the second die. And you're fairly light, so there's no danger, I don't think, of the cable snapping or anything. You got a 6, take a token. On the other side, you do not see a crank mechanism. The other side is actually quite collapsed. You don't even see like more passage. Like it's going to drop you off into just a bunch of rubble, basically. But there might be something within the rubble, who knows? But importantly, on the other side, you can't quite make out what it belongs to, but you see a black flame bobbing in the shadows.
Oh. Like hand over hand, trying to go backwards like a cat, realizing that they've gotten too far out and they're trying to back up along a skinny path. That is how Gleneth kind of like gets back down onto the other side with her compatriots. Mazer, about those demons, do you know of any with a penchant for black fire?
And I think like we haven't talked about it, but like Mazar, like from the accident, like has this one eye that's just like completely like burned out and like replaced with something that doesn't do anything, but it's just kind of like this like soot black like orb. I think kind of similar to the image, and for those that can't see it, like with some just like white lines through it and that type of thing. And like you've seen like a twinkle in Mazer's like good eye, but like as he like stares into the distance at this black flame, like it almost seems like there's a twinkle in the dead eye as well. And so like his response is a combination of that and yes, Gleneth. Yes, indeed.
Well, the bad news is that there's definitely something over there, and it doesn't look like there's a path through.
Not without investigating further, closer. Yeah.
Mazer's in the cart. He's ready to go.
It was just Gleneth hanging down upside down from the wire into looking into the carriage, asking you if you know anything about demons.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
I'm happy to hop in the cart too.
We got 2 people in the cart.
Well, Osto, there's definitely something over there that we will have to contend with. I don't know if Blackfire is ever really considered friendly. Perhaps you should go with them as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to leave them alone.
The cart
And
is
so he'll
full.
climb in.
So Gleneth, are you going to crank them over?
I can certainly try.
Indeed, you can. I will tell you that it's pretty slow going initially. The crank is tough to crank. You are not nearly as strong as Osto. And you don't have the same leverage either because you're shorter, right? So you have a lot of it's a lot more work for you to do. But it's going slowly, steadily. You don't see the black fire yet. You're probably not even group. You're probably still not even a sixth of the way yet. And it's because the place is just basically pitch black until your own light sources hit wherever it's going. You might have a hard time seeing things until you get closer. The black fire itself gives off a certain type of strange glow, but you can't see it yet. But it's just you all with your candle or lantern inside the little cart, and if you look over the edge, it's just blackness as far as the eye can see, all around, up and down. And the cart being pulled. It's kind of a pulley system. The cables moving you across. Mazer, what are you doing while you have this slow journey?
I think I'm actually sitting at the base of the cart, back against the edge. I've peered into the darkness and it's darkness and whatever, that's fine. And so I've kind of sat down and I don't know, I'm singing some old folk hymn about kind of like a crossroads type of thing, or like a golden fiddle type of thing. It's not quite that, but yeah, some kind of deal with a demon that's been, and so it's just I'm not a great singer, so it's just kind of that, yeah, oh, there was a young lad who went down the road, as we're just kind of going along, just kind of in my sort of frail kind of singing voice.
The devil went down to old Kalduhr.
Yeah, something like that.
Corklick, what are you doing in the meantime?
Kind of waiting patiently, but I'm gonna fiddle with this little wooden hedge clipper doll while I'm riding along, kind of poke and prod, see if it has moving parts.
It's a mannequin. How do you know?
Like calls to like, you can kind of see a little spark, the joinery as well. Even though I'm not fully wooden, I'm also not fully porcelain. You can you learn how the joints are attached.
Asta, what are you doing during this slow ride across the cables?
Could Osto be trying to manually assist with the cranking by kind of standing in the cart, bracing himself, and trying to pull with the rope up above?
Yeah, it's an interesting idea. I think you could be doing that, whether it's working or not, who could say? But you're eventually all going to get close enough to where you can see the black flame bobbing, the way it changes the darkness, the way it changes whatever ambient light is in this space from wall fungus or whatever, right? And when you get close enough to where the nimbus of your lantern light can reach down, can reach the landing, you will see that the black flame is actually hovering above the head of a person who is robed in the scaled hides of dread beasts. And they have a skull cap with horns and crystal ringlets. Their face is just one chromosome away from skeletal. It's just very, very thin, cartilage-free flesh pulled over bone. The teeth are quite prominent and exposed because the lips have long desiccated away. And it's just sort of walking back and forth, the flame above its head bobbing. But it will eventually hear the movement of the cart and turn up. And it opens its chattering jaws, and you're still very slowly moving down. And it just sort of looks up at you, and its mouth opens up and down, and it speaks words you can't understand. It's an Mazer, what do you do?
Is it like, would my impression be that it's like
It's fabulously
ancient-
evil.
it's fabulously and like at least what it's saying, like, is that a like ancient language?
It's speaking.
It's
It's speaking Old Kalduhr. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it appears to be like a real thing as opposed to just like a spirit.
Yeah, it seems corporeal, if that's what you're asking. Yeah.
So I kind of turn to my compatriots and say, I don't really understand the dialect, but it seems to want us, but not want us at the same time. It's what I'm judging. Any thoughts
just
on how
making
we
shit
want to
up.
proceed here?
Meanwhile, the cart gets ever closer. Asta, what do you do? Say.
We should not go this way. And he's going to just try and like stop the cart. Just close his fist around the rope.
That's going to be hard going. Did you work up some kind of signal with Gleneth to like stop and start?
Nope.
Okay. Because I think that like you are probably not strong enough for the mechanism
Oh,
here.
I fully expect this to not work.
Yeah, I mean the worst you're gonna the most you're gonna be able to accomplish here is just really, really bad rope burn. As the cart proceeds ever closer to the landing. Corkulek, what about you?
And for the moment, frantically wave a torch out the back end of this carriage, hoping that Gleneth understands that that means something like stop cranking.
Calm down, my friends. As we get closer, perhaps I can see what it wants more directly, ask it some questions.
I feel like we will let with the answers.
And massive ball of black fire is flying towards you. It soars overhead.
That seems pretty clear.
Gleneth, what were you going to say?
Did Gleneth see a giant ball of fire?
I think you saw the black fire arcing over. Yeah.
Okay. Then I would stop cranking. And then take 2 deep breaths and start like backing up against it to go in the other direction.
You're going to start cranking them back. So you're making the slow journey back across from whence you came. Now you know more about what you're facing, and you can indeed come back safely. And you are now back at your side.
What was that?
Friend of Mauser's. We should keep going. Find another way.
Okay.
Although I may not recognize it, I would say if we were to get a little bit closer, I'm very convinced that I could decipher what exactly it wants. Or doesn't want, as I said.
Okay.
Gleneth is going to just sit down on the ground and scan and see if maybe there's some shiny treasure to take away the pain of all of this physical labor.
There certainly is. Let me find you something.
I'll do 2 if you're in the mood.
Yeah, we can do it. I just gotta find it. We have some fabulous treasure tables here. Just gonna pull them up.
Not fabulously evil treasures, right?
No, I
Just
haven't
regular treasures.
Well, I
Regularly
I
fabulous.
haven't quite acclimated myself to there's so many things in these street and climb things to look at and do. So I'm still kind of sort of sorting it out a bit. But having said all that, you will find a brass armlet wedged in the dirt, which has little tiny emeralds. It's actually snakes entwined and their emerald eyes. It is worth 2 gold because of the emeralds.
Splendid. Glennis puts it on and keeps adjusting it and moves it to the other arm and sits there while the group decides what they want to do next.
Now, surely knowing what you face over there, some sort of like hateful old Kalduhr lich on the other side of the crevasse, maybe you can approach the situation differently, or you can go find another way. That's fine too.
All right.
That was a question I had. Is this in the streets? Is this the only way through, or do we have multiple?
No, this is just where I've kind of diverted you, but you can go find other passages and ways.
Let me make a pitch here. What if we disguised our torchlight as a black flame in the hope of like identifying as another of its kind, which should be allowed permission into this realm, or at least to be able to get closer before that would be tipped off.
Intriguing idea. Yeah.
I like
Gleneth,
that.
feeling kind of like a tired smartass, just uses her illusion skill to turn Corklux torch black.
Whoa, just like that. That's
I like
not
it.
a character.
It's an interesting plan.
I hand my torch over to Mazer.
Are you going to be the said sorcerer, Mazer?
I think this is something that Mazer would just, have confidence in. Yeah. So I'm good bearing this torch.
All right.
Well,
Same plan,
I
but
mean-
just with this black torch.
I'm not cranking again. That's not happening. I can't do it. I'm too short. And that was a lot of work. Perhaps my illusory skills would be better served in the cart.
I can't leave you three undefended.
The greatest defense for us is speed, my friend.
Corklick, you don't tire, so
I was going to say, do you want me to crank? Yeah.
And how will you get across?
The flight power of bees?
I mean, there's literally
Uh,
nothing stopping anybody from just hand over handing, right? I mean, you don't need special gloves for that.
Yeah.
I just don't take risk rolls because of my super cool gauntlets.
That's
Everybody
correct.
can do it.
Well, Quark looks probably lighter than Osto is. That might be an easier journey.
Yeah, we can give it a shot.
Okay, so now it's Gleneth, Osto, and Mazer in the cart. Torch in the
Mazer-
darkness, held above your head.
Mazer, do you speak with these creatures? How is your old Kalduhr?
Many demonologists have been known to speak with creatures such as these. There's Old Grey, the lady who went down to the cauldron of demons and spoke their tongue without knowing it. It is something that those of us who are attuned with this world have unique abilities to connect with this other dimension, this other plane that still exists within ours.
Gleneth turns to Osto. I didn't hear him say he could do it.
Yeah. No, that absolutely tracks.
Well, should I perhaps, I don't know if I could silence the cart, but I could at least obscure the view of the cart itself and perhaps only reveal Mazer holding this torch aloft, perhaps obscuring the vision of the cart altogether and arrive in some sort of a illusory way.
Yeah, let's do that.
Mhm.
You
I
can
would like to try to pull the blackness and
Yeah,
the
you've got-
darkness
you've got
down. And
all the time in the world to do that. There's no immediate danger. And so what it looks like, it just looks like Mazer kind of floating in blackness, right? With the black flame over Mazer's. Is that a powdered wig you wear, Mazer? And eventually the thing does turn with its semi-skeletal face, its horned helmet, its crystal ringlets draping down, its robes made of hide and silk, the black flame above its head. And it looks up and it opens its mouth and lets out like a droning call. That like fills the space. What do you do?
I turn to the others and just kind of like quip and just say like, it's a good thing I was practicing my singing voice. And I'm going to try and yeah, like do the same sound, mimic it as best as I can.
You can. I don't need a roll.
Okay.
And because it works just long enough for it to realize that you're not really a sorcerer, right?
Oh no.
And you get down to the landing, and the thing is sort of like approaching the cart. You can see it approaching. And it calls out to you, Mazer, in its language.
So I probably know like some scant old Kalduri vocabulary. And
Yes.
so I think I'm going to try and stitch something together that feels like it has gaps in it. So like essentially like the sort of like, oh, like the connections breaking up is essentially what I am trying to do, is like make it think like I am talking to it in a reasonable fashion. Without knowing the language and not necessarily knowing what it's saying, but just trying to like stitch together just enough words that it will feel like an answer is being given, even if it doesn't understand what that answer is specifically.
I love it. I will tell you did pick up certain words because of your extensive study of demons, and this is a black-hearted evil creature. You will pick up the words sacrifice and pool.
And I would maybe like in between whatever dialogue we're having, like I would sort of like mutter back to her, it's like, "I'm definitely talking about a sacrificial pool. There might be treasure there.
Indeed,
All
indeed.
of those bodies."
This is a risk roll.
Yep.
Sarah, Brian, Ben, what could go wrong here?
Fireball to the face.
Yeah, I'm thinking you got to fight the thing.
Well, your attempt at haphazard grammar here, it's like there is a sacrifice that must be made at the pool, and you're like, I sacrifice am.
I offer myself. I am sacrifice.
Right. That's how it interprets it. You're like, your color is terrible, but thank you for your offering. Right this way, sir.
You are a jelly donut.
Ben,
That's yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty much what I was thinking.
Let's talk about dice. I think negotiation, trickery, lies, demons, all of this really plays in, if we're being
There's a lot,
honest.
yeah.
This feels like your bag. You still just get one light die. Devil's bargains. Who wants to make an offer?
The black flame from my torch, our illusionary black flame, becomes a permanent black flame over Mazer's head.
Ooh.
Oh, intriguing. I'll double that. I'll second that one. I like that one.
You will unknowingly make a bargain with it that will come due eventually.
Yeah, that was what I was working on too, that somehow you would be a necessary component for a future sacrifice.
Hmm. I do feel like the black flame, for all of its like danger, is something that Mazer would not resist at all. But maybe that ties into the like, it's kind of like a combined like devil's bargain. Like that might be a signal of something Yeah, that has been
with
inadvertently
it.
negotiated.
I can play with that if you take it. 2 light dice, just 2 light for now.
Too late.
Yep. Complication. The complication is going to be the complication is I'm gonna actually memorialize the black flame thing with a condition. And it might be something that you might be like creating a pact for yourself that don't quite understand.
Yeah.
If you're okay with that, you can let it ride. Otherwise, you can add it.
Yeah, I mean, I really like that narratively.
Okay.
And that's how I drive these characters. For
Very good.
sure. So
Add the
it's terrible.
the black flame as a condition. And otherwise you succeed. I'll take the fiction on it, but I'm going to check in with Korkulik for a bit because Korkulik is getting undue attention from layer 1, as we've established. Korkulik, if you recall on the way down, you all encountered a sort of ghostly shade of an old Kalduhr on the narrow staircase going down the shaft.
Yep.
And you see now that there is one of those shades. They glow white, but they're completely translucent. And this is a man. And he's sort of slowly approaching you. And he points at the crank and says, you have no idea what he said.
Yeah, it sounds that way. I'm terrible at old Kalduhr.
I don't think it's even that. It's just like, it's just this sort of strange muttering exhalations of memory and tragedy and sadness. It's more of an emotion than language.
Well, am I still cranking? Like, am I actively cranking?
No,
in
it's
this
done.
moment?
No,
Oh, the cranking is done. All right.
Yeah.
I feel some like at the other end, so I know to stop or something.
Stops it. Yeah.
All right. I will pull out the little wooden doll figure with the hedge clipper hands and offer it towards it. See how it responds.
It extends its hands as if to take it. But the hands just go through it.
Might try my archive ritual here to try and pull some memories out of this shade. Giving up one of my own memories to learn some piece of lore from it.
The bees will use the logic of this place and the appearance of this shade to unlock a memory that tells you that this is the former cable car operator you're either doing his job, doing it wrong, or something.
Right. Goodness. I guess I'll gesture towards is the crank just a crank, or are there is there more mechanism? Or
There's a lot of mechanism there, but yeah, but the only way to interact with it is just the crank. Yeah, there's kind of no wrong way to do it.
Kind of gesture towards it and see if the shade wants to take over or something.
It will walk over and it will put its spectral hands on the crank, which it can't reach and touch. and it begins cranking in reverse as if to bring the cart back. But of course, it's not cranking anything because it can't physically hold it. And so it's just doing the motion. But it seems settled.
All right. For now, I'll leave it there.
Indeed. Meanwhile, back down at the landing, you have managed to reach some sort of rapprochement with the sorcerer. And it points out to you, Mazer, because all around there seems to be nowhere to go. Like the landing is just like nothing. Like there's just crumbled structures and blocked passages. But he points out in what appears to be the rear of some building, a narrow split in the wall that gives you access to that building. And he points it out. And you just hear the word pool.
It's a good thing I studied the pools of old Kalduhr so thoroughly.
Pools of Old Kalduhr, Volume 1. So what do you all do?
Yeah, so I mean, I sort of explain the situation to Glenneth and Hosto, and just say like I have to be perfectly honest with you. I'm not sure what this pool is for. Likely connects to a sacrifice, but who's to say? Could just be a treasure pool when it comes down to it. My studies just don't go deep enough. But that said,
But I'm bummed.
this appears to be the way.
It's never a treasure pool, Mazer.
Perhaps I should go and signal to Corkluck. I could climb halfway back and tell him to come over. It was unclear to me whether or not we were still being, like, are we still trying to hide from this
I don't think so. No.
fundamentally evil thing? That was part of the success.
The sorcerer, I think, is probably okay with the two of you. I think he thinks that you're with Mazer, you are, and that this is all meant to be. So
Understood. So I guess I'll go back.
I mean, he'll know the cart's stopped. He should be on his way back. Right?
yeah, Korkulek, I mean, you haven't heard anybody calling from the other side. You can't really quite see what's happening. You can maybe make out a pinprick of light from the black torchlight, but not much more than that.
Yeah.
Only because you know to look for it. So.
Yeah. Well, since the shade doesn't have the ability to interfere with the cart, or at least doesn't seem to, I'll scuttle across or attempt to.
Very good. Let's take another 5-minute break. We'll come back and do our last bit. Korkulek, I think this is going to be a risk roll to navigate over the cables. Wide open possibilities here, fictionally, literally in the fiction, spatially, I don't know, whatever, how you want to interpret the word, but what could go wrong, do we think, folks?
Seems kind of obvious.
There's the real obvious thing of Korkulek falls down the hole.
There is only one way to go from here.
But I'm open to entertaining other ideas.
Perhaps Korkulek doesn't actually fall, but something about the way he's grabbing and pulling himself in the rope unravels it in such a way that maybe we can't turn back and the cart is no longer useful.
Oh, I like that. That's pretty good. I like that as a devil's bargain too, maybe. We'll see. Any other thoughts on failure?
He could draw the ire of the lich thing
Sorcerer, yeah.
as he
the lich.
approaches the other side, because that thing doesn't know that he would be with us.
Yeah, it's true.
I think I got Devil's Bargain more than what could go wrong.
Well, let's do dice then. Corkalux, skills or equipment. I don't think your skills are any use at all.
Mimicry? I can't mimic a monkey doing the.
I don't think so. If you want to, if you want to make a
He
case
saw
for,
Glennis move. He could be mimicking her.
I don't think there's anything fancy going on here. You are just hand over handing your way across the cable. But you can certainly probably make a case for any number of backpack equipments or other things.
Let me troll here 1 second.
I just realized we have 2 characters with powdered wigs now. That's interesting to me.
Yep, it's the fashion. Well, let's say I'm using some chain to slide along to try and prevent myself from falling.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. Okay, you got 1 light die. Devil's Bargain. I like the Devil's Bargain of, for whatever reason, you can't go back. Like you can't use the cart to go back.
Was thinking along the lines of something in the void below will take up residence in the mannequin that you're carrying over.
Yeah, similarly, I'd been thinking like the specter that you encountered like follows you in some type of ominous way.
I don't have anything better.
I'm liking that we're trapped on the one-way path so far. So we
Are the
think that we can't go back.
Mazer, Gleneth, and Osto, are you going to wait on Corkaluk before you go inside the building that's been pointed out to you, or are you just going to let Corkaluk deal with the sorcerer on his own?
Small talk with the sorcerer while we wait for.
Yeah, last, like the conversation I had with Osto was like, well, he'll be along in a minute. I'm not going anywhere without him.
No, Asta won't leave without Corkaluk.
Yeah, let's have some die rolls here. I think it's risk to one dark at least because of the fundamental danger of the situation. You have a 5 light. The complication is going to be this: the sorcerer sees you and begins giving you commands because you're a mannequin, and that's what we do with mannequins.
Oh, mannequin treatment in this town. I hated this place.
Or you can add a dark die roll, 2 light, 2 dark, to go for.
I'm good. I'm gonna take some abuse and find a way to get this sorcerer back one day.
Indeed. If you want to describe your journey over, you can, but I think we'll eventually just see you. Yeah.
There's a great, because since it's in pure darkness, there's this great sort of like clickety clackety. Yeah, you hear a little clank of the chain, clickety clackety chain. That anybody with an earshot is like, what the hell is going on out there? And then it's just this little spindly mannequin scarecrow thing coming along bit by bit.
Indeed. And before you even get down to the bottom, the black flame sorcerer kind of takes a few hurried steps forward and points at you, and you can feel the anger as he points at you and says, and he's pointing, gesticulating. What do you do, Corkaluk?
And just kind of tilt my head backwards in that odd, extremely mobile neck way to look directly at him.
The sorcerer turns back to you, Mazer, and points at the thing and looks at you, Mazer, and it's like, yes and no. And you just hear the word slave.
I'm gonna point to myself, and then I'm gonna I'll do kind of a similar type of thing where I'll again stitch together things in the gaps and all of that, and essentially though I'm trying to say it in a very calming tone.
What are you trying to convey to it?
That's my
That's your mannequin,
essentially.
Yeah, that's fine. He won't push the issue. He seems very indignant, as best you can tell from his mostly featureless skeletal face, and goes back to, occasionally he actually pulls the flame down into his hands and is sort of caressing and muttering to it, but he kind of goes off and does that on his own. And so you have the entrance into this building, which is just a crack in the wall, essentially.
Gleneth has not used this skill before in front of her party, but I do have some gift of prophecy. Can I perhaps cast out a couple of handfuls of bones and see if there is anything I can glean about the way forward through this crack, whether it is a pool of treasure or sacrifice?
You can make a hunt roll with 2 dice. Go for it.
I would very much like to.
You got a 6. Take your token. Whatever this place is, it's a place of relaxation.
This way looks quite tranquil. And starts picking up bones off the ground. I think that we actually should go in.
With that. In with that. Just so we're clear.
Oh, I thought the sorcerer
The
was
sorcerer's not
out
going
here.
in. He's just
No,
hanging
it's
out
just
outside.
us.
Yeah,
It just pointed the way.
it did
Okay.
point the way. Yeah.
Lead the way.
Gleneth changes the torch fire light from black to just fire once we get inside a little bit,
Well, so
but then
here's the thing.
notices that she can't
You can't.
put out.
Yeah.
Mossers she's just what did you get all over? Why is this? What did you do to it? And then just casts light on a marble and then kind of goes through the crack, leading the way.
Speaking of
Inside,
light
yeah.
sources, since I gave away one of my torches, do we need another one lit?
Well, Gleneth's marble will be good. It probably puts off enough light for Gleneth at least. But if somebody wants to have a lantern or something like that, should be. But the 2 of them together should be enough. If you split
I'll
off
use one
from
of
each
mine.
other, then you'll need your own.
Yeah, I'll use one.
Okay. Inside. This set is the Dwarven Baths. Dwarven Baths has the set goal: unlock the main door. Entering through a crack in the wall, you come upon the foyer of a bathhouse. There is a large double door exit, which is clearly the main entrance, but it does appear to be locked shut. The lock itself has 3 separate keyholes in a triangular pattern. It's clearly meant to be a keyhole for the lock, and it has three keyholes, triangular pattern. There are 3 large rooms, which you can glance into and see that they each have a pool of some sort, and there are richly mosaicked baths. One of the rooms is quite hot. The other is not quite as hot. The other one is freezing cold. There are some other little small rooms along the foyer and kind of connecting between these three large rooms, which have massage tables, changing areas, that kind of thing. And you will see dwarves. Now, in the setting of Trophy, dwarfs are not as we know them in other fantasy games. Dwarfs are they're basically statues of children, animated statues of children. They're not mannequins. They are their own species of animated child statues. And you do see one. One walks by. It's carved of basalt, and it's a sort of nearly naked youth, and it is holding towels in its arms, and it looks up at you, and it just keeps going into one of the rooms. Makes note of you, but otherwise doesn't react.
Is that the only indication that this place might be in active use?
Yes, you don't. I mean, you've seen maybe a couple of the dwarfs, and as you kind of poked your head around, but you don't see any like patrons.
Got it.
Lenneth is already taking off one of her veils to tie up her hair.
Are there more towels around?
Yeah, there are probably some. I mean, they're quite, moldered and not in the greatest condition, but yeah, there's probably little stacks inside a little nook off the side of the foyer.
Grab one just in case it's decorum. Gotta cover your bits or something.
Are there dwarves above ground too? Like, are they a sight in
You know about
the
them.
modern day?
Yes, in the present day, there are dwarves. You know of them. You may not have all seen them, but they are known in the world. Yeah, they live in the deep places of the earth, and they are. No one really knows their origin, what their deal is. They don't speak, and the rumors, collectively, you'll all know this. You'll be able to piece it together between your various skills. The thinking is that they're always trying to get back to the womb of the mother that bore them. And that womb is deep, deep, deep in the earth. But these run a bathhouse. So...
Asta will take a towel and kind of look at the others and say, are we really stopping here? Like, we're not.
I am so sore from pushing all of you across that ravine. And I'm just going to go towards the hot room.
We have 3 large rooms: the caldarium, the tepidarium, and the frigidarium. The caldarium is the hottest. The tepidarium is tepid, and the frigidarium is incredibly cold. Sounds like you're going to the caldarium, Gleneth. Korkuluk, what are you doing?
Oh, I feel like the frigidarium's not going to do me too much terrible harm. So I'll go poke at the frigidarium.
Asta?
He'll follow Korkuluk.
2 to the frigidarium. Mazer?
Perhaps showing the contrast between Gleneth and Mazer, the tranquility of this place has Mazer intensely suspicious and wary of going any further into this place. Like, there are not signs of demonic things going on. This is not what I signed up for. There, yeah. And so I think like I am just like scouring this like lobby area for any kind of sign of evil that will make me feel more comfortable going further in.
Please make a hunt roll. You can take it with 2 dice if you want, because of your demons and lies and trying to find such things.
Token.
Take a token. There's nothing inherently evil about this place. There was all sorts of malignant evil in the Orphan's Villa, but not here. And also just outside of it. Outside of this place there is, but not inside.
In
I
the
guess.
Tepidarium, do they serve frozen yogurt?
I'll reluctantly grab a towel and which way do I go? I'll go to the Frigidarium. Safety in numbers.
3 to the Frigidarium, Gleneth to the Caldarium. Gleneth, the Caldarium is steam heavy air. It's nearly burning hot, like just a little bit more degree temperature increase, and it would be painful. Right now, it's just uncomfortable. Maybe it's not for you, but in general, it would be. There is a large boiling pool in the center of this sort of tiled floor. It is surrounded by a sort of columned arcade where alcoves have little benches. There are large brass pipes mounted to the walls in complicated patterns. You have little alcoves all around. Some of the alcoves have murals depicting things. And on one side of the room, there appears to be some sort of like control panel. And there's a massive chainmail rusted onto the control panel.
Gleneth has shed all of her veils and fabrics and scarves and just looped them over one of the pipes and is completely naked except for her head wrap. And I think would kind of walk through the alcoves, admiring the murals and such, and making note of them before monkeying with any mechanical nonsense, because I don't want to chance like increasing the temperature at all.
Yeah, make a hunt roll.
I don't think naked helps me in any way.
Yeah.
So just one.
Sure.
Oh dear.
You got a 1.
I rolled a 1.
Did you have any tokens?
Yes, I did.
You lose them all.
Yep.
And you encounter something terrible. We'll get to the terrible thing in a bit. Osto, Korkaluk, Mazer, the Frigidarium. Cold as an ice-bound mountaintop. The touch of the air on your skin, for those of you that have skin, is painful. Your breath, for those of you that have breath, fogs and crystallizes. It has the same pool around, sort of like a mosaic tiled space, but there's a pool in the middle. Around the edge of the pool is just a very narrow walkway. The water itself has a layer of ice on its surface. The back wall of this room has the sculpture of a frost bear's head emerging from the wall. And there's a spout of water coming from its mouth that is frozen that would go into the pool. There are also a couple of Dwarven bath attendants poking around here. Osto, what do you do?
This is a little colder than he was expecting. and he's going to just kind of hang back closer to the door and try and get the attention of one of the attendants.
How do you do that?
And when he comes over, he's going to really broadly gesticulate as he rolls up his pant leg and shows the burn. And do you have anything? See
They
if,
will start to look at your burned leg, and they'll kind of look at each other, and they make little gestures with their very finely wrought stone fingers, a sort of sign language between them. And then they direct you to sit down on the little path around the pool. Do you do that?
Hesitantly, but yes.
Korklik, what are you doing in the meantime?
Are there murals in this place also, or no?
Let me take a look. No, this one's not. This one's actually pretty sparse decoration wise.
All right, I'm
The
gonna go
main
look at this
feature
bear
is just
head.
the feature is just this bear head in this pool, this frozen pool.
Yeah, go look at the bear head. See, I don't know. See what I can see.
Yeah, make a hunt roll if you're just examining it.
All right. Any chance of extra die for skill in myths or artifacts?
I'll take artifacts.
All right. Oh, I just did a risk. Sorry. Should we keep the dice as they rolled?
Yeah, just roll it, hunt.
Okay. 5.
Take your token, but you encounter something terrible. I'll tell you one thing about the heads, or about the frozen bear head. Its eyes are black diamonds, very valuable if you were to pry them open or pry them off. I will tell you, the terrible thing is, as soon as you make any indication that you have interest in the black diamond eyes, one of the Dwarven bath attendants raises a hand, and then a finger makes a "don't you dare" motion.
Right. How many Dwarven bath attendants are there?
There's 2 in this space. One of them is looking after Osto. The other one is watching you and telling you, hands off the
Got
polar
it.
bear head.
All right.
Mazer, what are you doing in the frigidarium?
I think I tap on that one's shoulder, and I'm going to essentially I take the towel, I put over my shoulders, and I'm just like, do you have anything warmer than this?
It takes your hand and leads you out of the frigidarium to
As
one of
we-
the warmer chambers.
As we go, I look over my shoulder and wink at Korkaluk.
It takes you to the tepidarium.
One down.
It takes you to the tepidarium, and we'll get to the tepidarium in a moment. Korkaluk, the one Dwarven bath attendant's busy with Osto, the other is going to the tepidarium with Mazer. What do you do?
Seems like a great moment to try and steal some black diamond eyes.
Do you?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and pop them loose.
Very good.
Replace them with some bees.
When you pop the eyes, you damage the head of the statue, which causes the frozen torrent of water coming from its mouth to burst open. And there is now a torrent of icy water and deadly freezing ice chips spraying into the room. The attendant gets up and is very not sure what to do and looking very, very frightened. Osto, Korkuluk doesn't bother you at all, Korkuluk, but Osto, you're going to freeze to death rapidly in this space because of this like torrent of freezing water and air coming out of the polar bear head. Korkuluk, you do get the black diamond eyes. They're worth 2 gold. Gleneth, you encountered something terrible. Some floor tiles give out underneath you and drop you into the boiling pool. Mazer, you are taken into the tepidarium. The large pool is half full with muck rather than water. Everything in this room is coated in slime and mold. The air is heavy with spores and decay. There's more to know here, but I will tell you that the muck inside the pool moves, undulates. And that's where we will end our session today, with the group all in cliffhangers. And we'll go straight to stars and wishes.
Literally leaving me in hot water, Jason, really?
Yes, you are. Indeed, indeed. Stars and wishes, things you enjoyed about the session. Stars, wishes, things you hope to see next time. Whoever wants to go first, take it away.
Well, star to just all the descriptions of places and things that we came across. There was, we went across a lot of territory, and all of the, like, there's a distinct feeling to everything. So like, great job to obviously the folks who wrote it, as well as Jason, for like bringing that to life for us. That was, yeah, it was really cool. I like, yeah, seeing a lot of different things in a short period of time like that. Yeah, and I mean, this is kind of like the thing, but like also like the stars to like everybody for just like the characters feel like very lived in, like there's like really strong motivations for them and all of that, and it's, yeah, a lot of fun to, now that we are pressing further in, to kind of, yeah, start seeing those sort of contrasts and tensions and that type of thing even as we push forward. So that was really cool. Wishes, my wish is to complete a set. uh yeah, I want to see the big stuff unlock, so hopefully we're in a little bit better position / stance for this one, where we can get to that really good loot and monsters.
I'll point out you did almost everything in the Orphan's Villa. You left behind very little. So
Cool. But that black box is still there. No, you unwound it. All right.
Yeah, that leads to a wish. We didn't get to see the orphans in the pit.
it's true.
Well, we still have a bell.
So, wishes or stars. I had a really good time. I'm really enjoying Roots of Old Kalduhr. Actually, it's very, very fun space to kind of play in, and the structure of it's very interesting. And as a GM, it's very like it's a lot of fun to like just pick things and play with things, and all the materials that you're provided with in the book are fabulous. This set that we're in right now is really fun. We've just started it, but it's really good so far. I like it a lot. This one's written by Natalie, by the way, for those of you who run the retreat, and it's good fun. And I think everyone's doing a great job playing their character the way their character like would play. Like, I'm enjoying the characterizations. I'm enjoying the sort of like protective thing that Osto is doing. I'm enjoying the sort of like weird magic stuff that Gleneth is doing, and the very like strange point of view of Mazer, and the whole interaction with the sorcerer was terrific. Loved all that. And I really, really loved the scene with Korkuluk in the shade. There was like nothing at stake there. It had no bearing on anything. There was no danger, but it was just kind of a fun thing to see this like ghost and this mannequin sort of coming to an understanding with one another. I thought that was really, really interesting, fun scene. So yeah.
I can dive in. I liked Sarah describing Gleneth with the squid gloves sort of hanging down from the cable to look into into the car to discuss options with Mazer. And there was, I don't know, there's just something kind of funny about Osto and Korkaluk using a wooden box as bait dangling out of a window. That was a good image. And what else? Mike, you described Mazer. I peered into the darkness, and it's darkness, whatever. Like, so blasé about soul-wrenching horror. And then Jason, like, as always, your sound effects are amazing. You've got your old Kaldurian horror speak down.
In my star notes, I have a big one for fabulously evil. Just the that adjective just really colored that whole character, and I look forward to seeing seeing what comes of him. I really like the idea of there just being this weird bathhouse down here, and got all the the good old Roman bath features, the three temperatures, but clearly just wrong enough for it to be trophy. And yeah, I liked the this feels like a location I would never want to go to, but would be cool to read about. And I'm really glad we're getting to explore it with these characters and seeing how everyone responds to this. I like the idea of the camp. So a wish is I'm looking forward to seeing how Hearthfire plays when we're not in Fort Durin, provided we make it back up. And I kind of want to ring the bell. Just, I mean, we're not there anymore, so who knows? Maybe it'll be different. I don't know. But yeah, big stars all around. It was a lot of fun. I liked our strategery as we discussed who was going to do the cranking and why. It's a good time.
I also have stars for the pools of old Kalduhr. Like that was just a book that Master was reading. Like in your youth, you were obsessed with who knows, but it's fun to see that now turn into what is a bathhouse. And again, that being just wrong enough for it to be trophy. Stars for the cliffhangers, truly, like we're all like just on the precipice of whatever terrible stuff is about to happen. And that was very well timed out. I have some wishes, but it mostly has to do with these odd magics that I keep collecting, and to see if I'm able to, well, get myself out of a scrape in the future. I don't think it'll be this one because the overwhelming mass
Feels like the
probably
wrong
would be
move
really
here.
bad,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we'll look forward to see how I get out of this one this time. But yeah, it's a lot of fun to play with Mazer as the new character we're kind of bringing into the fold, because again, Mike's perspective of playing his characters like they're stolen does give us an interesting momentum too, that I think is really helping drive the story along. And I look forward to seeing how those connections start to build long term. Mm-hmm.
Indeed. Any other stars and wishes? Okay. Well, I am going to go ahead and stop the recording. If everyone will just wave goodbye. That's a new thing we do. Goodbye.